Hi, Kevin.
Let's get fired up.
How are you?
You know, it feels awkward to be on this side of the podcast, so I'm definitely semi-excited about it.
You're in the hot... Hi, Mom and Dad. You're in the hot seat.
I am.
How does it... So you're in the hot seat today.
It's very comfortable.
I'm glad it's comfortable. Are you a little nervous?
No, I'm actually not.
I'm really excited. This is going to be fun.
I'll say this mostly. So we work together.
We do.
And I'm super comfortable around you. I feel like you're a sister. And
sister in Christ.
We had the same upbringing. I feel like we were separated at birth.
I think we were.
So yeah, I feel good today.
I'm glad. Thank you. You are my boss. Thank you for signing my paycheck every 2 weeks. You do make the world go round in the Haley household. God bless you.
Jesus.
Hashtag Jesus. Hashtag direct deposit. So, Kevin.
Yes.
What do you do here?
Well, I am, as you said, I'm the executive director of SEU Carolina, which is a regional campus of Southeastern University. So what I'm responsible for is setting the vision of our campus and also program implementation and creation, budgeting and hiring. And also I would be an ambassador. So I'm employed by both Southeastern University and Multiply Church. And it's my job to bridge these two organizations together to further the mission of the church.
So SU's been here for 8 years now.
Yes, 8 years anniversary.
I know, it's crazy. How long have you been at Multiply Church Global collectively?
Multiply Church, I have been here, my wife and I, we relocated here to the Concord area 13 years ago, this Easter.
You started working on Easter?
Yes, Easter was our go time.
So before you were the executive director, what were you doing here at Multiply Church?
So they brought me in to be their lead children's pastor. At the time, Pastor Andrew, who was the lead, went off to plant a church in Mint Hill. And Pastor Rick, lead pastor at the time, was looking for a kids pastor. And this is very interesting. Doug Withrop, who was an associate pastor at the time, told Rick, you need to get this guy from the Carolinas, East Coast boy, Kevin Smith, you got to bring him in. So I ended up landing the job, really excited about it. And so I went from children's pastor to executive over Family Life Ministries, Kids to College, and now executive over SEU Carolina.
I didn't know that you started working here on Easter. Doing Easter in kids ministry, that's a pretty aggressive first week.
It's absolutely on brand. My first real job, working at JCPenney's, I was selling shoes. My first day on the job was Black Friday. So definitely on brand. Just right
big in. Holidays. Only time ever, new job, big holiday. I guess your next one needs to be like fireworks store, 4th of July.
Don't get me started on a 4th of July show. I am all about it.
You really are. You really are. You are Mr. America, Mr. 4th of July, shooting off fireworks. I feel like your 4th of July parties get bigger and bigger every year.
But you know what's interesting, folks, especially for the hearts all around America that are listening, I don't think that you have attended my fireworks spectacular yet. For you to know so much about it?
I've been employed here 4 years, and I've been invited one time.
Oh, stop it.
And
Don't
the
you start
first
with
year,
me,
and
Sarah.
I was like, oh, that sounds fun. And you're like, why didn't you come? And I said, I wasn't invited. And you said, what do you mean you weren't invited? We talked about it. And I was like, I didn't get an invitation. And then the next year, your kids invited me. And because I saw them on a Sunday, and your kids invited me. And I was like, it's kind of like whenever your friend would say, do you want to come sleep over tonight?
So I
haven't asked my mom yet, but like, just come on over. Just call your mom and have her make sure it's okay.
So you got the kid invitation. I didn't formally invite you. So I'm on the show. I'm on Fire Talk Radio. I'm officially inviting you to the official 4th of July fireworks spectacular that me and Nate put on every year. So
put it in the calendar.
You're invited.
Put it in our calendar.
Put it on the iCal.
So, I don't know. I know you're not a big social media guy, but one of my favorite videos to watch is A Day in the Life.
Okay.
What are we doing? I'm waking up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Here's the timestamps. I don't need timestamps.
Okay.
But from when you walk in to work to when you clock out for the day, what does a day in the life look like? Like, what are you working on?
Okay. This would be fun. Well, the first thing that happens is I race to beat you to work. So first thing I'm looking for when I'm pulling up on campus is your car here? Now, true story. A couple days ago, I pulled in right after you, but you were still sitting in the car. I totally got out of the car and sprinted for the door.
Did you really?
I didn't even say, hey, I didn't blow the horn.
I feel like I low-key knew that. And was it the day that you looked at me and said, look who finally decided to show up for work? Was that the day?
Yes.
I was like, it was 8:31. And I said, I'm on time. I was like, what's going on?
I even turned on the lights through.
That's crazy.
I turned on the jazz music, started brewing my coffee, just pretend like I'd been here. So,
I really thought that you'd been here because I said, oh, he's here.
Okay, so day in the life. I come in, I start brewing my coffee. I love grinding my own brew in the office, and I turn on some low-key jazz vibes in the office, and then I check my email and I kind of get started for the day. So I have started walking through the Torah. So before I kind of start my day, I'll read the Bible Project. Mad shout out. They are putting out some good products. So I'm walking through their Bible reading plan for the Torah. And then I will get started. I'll check in with you. So see what's happening for the day, over the weekend, anything we need to know enrollment wise. But mostly we talk about what we did this weekend. And I look at my agenda to see what podcast recordings we have for the day. I'm also looking at pulling some academic reports, maybe seeing what are the GPA scores looking like for the students. I also teach several courses on campus, so curriculum writing. I do a sermon writing class. I do a pastoral leadership class. And so I am essentially building out presentations for those. Going to lunch on campus. Love having lunch on campus. We have a faculty table.
We do have a faculty table.
Love the faculty table.
Wednesdays, it gets a little rowdy.
As much as I would love to sit with the students and spend time with them and get chatty, I absolutely love the faculty table because it's an unspoken expectation that we've all made it. We're here. Not a word has to be spoken.
None. We can sit there in dead silence for an hour and just eat our lunch.
Yeah.
We can.
And so I especially love Wednesday when Dwayne comes in and Melody. And so Pastor Bill stops by often. So after that, we start getting ready for the afternoon. So I'm making sure that plants are watered, especially if it's Monday or Thursday, because we got to make sure the plants look great on campus. I'll make sure the library tunes are streaming so that we can have a good setting on campus. And then I have afternoon appointments traditionally before I leave, and that's a day.
Any surprising responsibilities? I guess you can look at this not just like every day, but like in general. Has there been any like surprising opportunity or responsibilities you're like, I don't know why this is my job, but this is part of my job?
I think if I approach my role and responsibility from a church ministry perspective, everything's clear and it makes sense. Because if you know anything about working in church ministry, you have a lot of roles and responsibilities. As a pastor, you have to be great at finances, great at counseling, great at communications and writing. You have to be great at budgeting. You have to be great at communications. You have to be great at events. You have to be great at weddings and funerals. And you do way more than just preach a sermon on a Sunday.
Oh, 100%.
And I feel like running the college is very much, it's a ministry of the church. And there's no telling what I'm going to have to do in any given week since I'm program director. It really is all over the charts. It's unreal. It really is. I could write a book just on how to be all things all the time for everyone at any given moment.
Very Martha. Maybe not as many Marys. So what's one lesson that you've learned as executive director over the past 8 years that you think every student should know?
Oh, I think probably a lesson that I've learned is slow down and enjoy the journey. I think that would be one lesson. I see so many students come on campus and whether it be getting wrapped up in relationships or boys or moving away from home, working their first job or like being focused, being present, fully present where you're at and enjoying where you're at in that season. Because I feel like So oftentimes we meet students that are ready for the next phase of life. Like, I'm single, but I'm ready to get married.
Yeah.
Or I'm engaged, but I'm planning my honeymoon, and I'm whether or not we're having children. Like, everybody's always working on the next thing. So just being present where you're at and enjoying where you're at, I would say, is a lesson I've learned. I think another lesson that I've learned would be just being really people-centric focused. And what I mean by that is, it's easy in our line of work, in our business, with admissions and enrollment and tours and numbers, and we need to hit certain numbers to hit certain budget parameters, and people graduating means numbers that have to be replaced, and housing, and do we have enough butts in beds, and to be able to make the rental forecast work. And it's easy to get focused on numbers, but I would say the lesson that I've learned is just to steward what God puts in my hand in front of me.
Yeah,
I learned this from Pastor Doug when I was on executive leadership with Multiply Church, and he would have board meetings, and he would say, okay, hands up posture. Let's put ourselves in a posture. God freely gives and he takes away, and we're going to steward whatever he puts in front of us to do.
That's good.
And I would say that's probably one of my greatest takeaways. Shout out, Doug.
Shout out, Pastor Doug. I guess looking at it, greatest takeaways, if you could go back 8 years ago and give first starting out of Kevin, like it's your first day as executive director, Kevin Smith, advice, what advice would you give Kevin?
I would say dial it back a notch, Kev. I would say tone it down, because I've always been an overachiever, type A personality, running like a black stallion, wild and free, just, doing all the things all the time. And I would say, just kind of take it easy. I mean, I've always had this larger than life perspective that just nothing's impossible. Everything can be accomplished. What one man can do, another can do. And so it's a little overboard sometimes, especially for people that are interacting with me on a daily basis. I forget sometimes how I'm perceived by the world. And it's probably a lot to take in. It's probably like getting smashed by a tidal wave.
Tsunami. That's a line from that show I've been watching. The people in there have like these really bad like North Carolina accents.
I thought it was some social media stuff.
It is. But no, I think it is. It's no somebody's surprise. No, but I think that's good advice for you looking back. But it's always advice that I think from knowing you for the past 4 years, so half of the lifespan of where you've been,
half of our time here.
I think you can definitely see the starting to slow it down and enjoy it, and the things that you implement not only in your work life, but also like what you've shared about it with your personal life of like Kev's Cabana on Saturdays, and like summertime's here, my kids are off, like I'm going to come in an hour early and leave an hour late and leave an hour early so I can go do these different things. So I think you've given yourself good advice overall.
Thank you.
But looking back 8 years ago.
Okay.
You and Pastor Doug sitting at a Starbucks. Is it the Starbucks that you and Pastor Bill would frequent?
No, it's not.
It's a different Starbucks.
So Pastor Bill and I, we started hanging out, especially during this 14-week construction project that we did on campus, renovating our campus space that all of our college students call a home. But we started at the Starbucks at Carolina Mall. And the Starbucks on the corner at Carolina Mall is just always busy. The environment is like cold and rigid, hard surfaces. It's not as comfortable. So when they opened up the new Starbucks off of George Lyles, has a beautiful floor-to-ceiling window view.
She's stunning.
Very modern. You actually overlook the hills of the valley in front of you. You can see moon rises and moon sets. You
the
can
QT
see,
is right there.
Oh,
your people watching, prime people watching locations.
So I love it. It's more comfortable. But the Starbucks that Pastor Doug and I were at, we were at the one at Carolina Mall. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was cloudy outside, almost like we were in the Pacific Northwest. It was giving Seattle vibes. And he asked me, he said, "What's the next big thing?" And I'll never forget it. It's like we drew the vision for SEU Carolina on a napkin, and just while I was still a children's pastor, you just see it so clearly what God is doing and what God is wanting to do, but yet it hasn't been accomplished or achieved yet or even started. Yeah. But yet this is the next big thing and the next right step. is developing and equipping the next generation for work of ministry. I mean, it was incredible. I'll never forget it.
So how did you find out about what SEU was doing with their partner sites, and what about it made you say, I want in?
Well, at the time, and still is, our lead pastor, Doug Withrop, was on the board of Southeastern. So they had just started that extension site program where they were partnering with churches to open learning centers. They were students were staying closer to home. They were staying home longer and delaying. They were taking these things called gap years. And so Southeastern decided to start partnering with churches to get learning centers closer to where students were and making Christ-centered education affordable and accessible. It's education at half the price of other higher education institutions. So it was from Doug. Doug told us about this new model, and he said, you should check it out. So at the time, I was the children's pastor. Justin was the youth pastor. So we traveled together to visit Southeastern extension sites all over the East Coast, and it was a fun work. It was a fun tour of churches, for sure.
So you just came back and you're like, we've got to do this.
Absolutely, it was pretty clear. I mean, we went into it with the question: are we going to do our own college, and this is going to be like a Multiply Church Leadership College, or are we going to adopt and embrace another institution and become that brand? I definitely think that looking back, deciding to embrace the brand of Southeastern University is one of the greatest things we ever did, because they are the one with the brand recognition and the name recognition. They are the place where students will be graduating and getting diplomas. And sometimes it makes it very difficult when you're explaining the partnership to people. But for us, it's simple because we are SEU.
Yeah, I'm with you. So over the past 8 years, looking at it, you've been trailblazing this whole time. What keeps you passionate about continuing to press forward for the next who knows how long?
So early on in the journey, I would say it was difficult for me to leave what I knew as the ministry, because I was a children's pastor. I was on the stage every week. I was just intricately involved in the day-to-day life of ministry and church ministry and Easter and Christmas and everything that comes along with it. And when I started running the college, it was a difficult transition at first, but then I realized how vital and important our mission was.
That's good.
While I wasn't the one on the front lines anymore in the work of ministry, I was equipping and training and developing the next generation of Christ servant leaders that were going to reach a generation of people that I would never see.
Yeah, that's good.
And after I'm long gone, these students will still be preaching, and they'll still be raising families. And this Christ-centered biblical worldview that they have learned at our institution will go forward in their businesses and in their homes and in their churches. And it's all because of what they got here. So I would say probably the most important thing is Ephesians 4. It's equipping saints for the work of ministry until Christ comes.
So what are some of the biggest changes? Now I'm going to tee you up with this.
Ooh,
I'm going to tee you up. I'm going to tee you up.
Like McElroy.
So what are some of the biggest changes you've seen since you started here? I guess you can talk about cosmetic different changes, and you can talk about, I guess, other different changes, but I feel like the cosmetic is probably the biggest.
So biggest change, I presently have one of the largest, nicest offices on campus.
You do have a really big office.
I have had 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 or 5 different office locations on campus since I've come here in 13 years. So that's definitely a big change. I would say transitioning from being in the Multiply Church office universe to now we actually have our own university offices and our separate campus for SEU Carolina. That was a big change. I would say another big change was probably that 14-week construction project was a big change. Getting this place ready to open, getting the future ready. Because what's interesting about this that I would say is the greatest change is we're in a facility of the future.
Yeah.
We build it for the future, but yet we're occupying it in the present. So, and there's a lot of tension between both the present and the future. So that's probably the greatest change, because I'm in the present, but I'm also in the future, and it's very trippy for me sometimes. Yeah. Because I can see, 20 to 30 students in the library, and I can see 100 students on campus in the dining hall, fellowshipping and talking and, goofing off. And I see it.
It's pretty wild. So let's talk more about this campus.
Okay.
Because I have looking back in the depths, back in the archives, I remember when I first started here, we were in Suite 5 at the far end.
Okay.
And you said, Sarah, no more walking on these tours, because we'd start in the offices and walk to the far end of the village to go to the actual campus. And you're like, get the golf cart. So then I'd have to organize with the team here to get the golf cart, and it would always rain. So I was zipping it down, and we're trudging. And then I remember coming back one day and you said, hey, we're doing crossover. Don't show anyone else Suite 5 ever again. And I said, what? And you're like, yeah, we're at the end of the semester, we're done out of there. Don't show anybody else. And I said, okay. And then I remember when we were looking through and I was just like, okay, no more golf cart. Lame. It's fun. It's like a 3-row golf cart.
I felt like we were so big time when we had a golf cart for tours. Oh my
gosh. I was like, hop in the golf cart. And then you started going through the floor plans, because you genuinely created this space from scratch. This is genuinely everything that you thought of all the way from the floor plans to the color of the carpets, to the color of the walls. It was your brainchild that had come to life. You were playing real life Sims in here. You were building. And so I remember we were looking through a couple different floor plans that you created. And I remember floor plan number 2. I don't know if you remember floor plan number 2.
Don't you start with me, Sarah.
But I remember we were looking through, and you had come up, which honestly, it was innovative. I'll give you that it was innovative.
I cannot wait to defend this concept. I can't wait.
It was innovative. It was innovative. But you had created dorms in the space with no windows. And I remember looking at you and I'm like, hey, this is a great idea, but this is prison. And you said, you can't say that. And I said, well, that's what it looks like. But tell me.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question. What do you want to know?
When you were going through and building this, what was going through your head? Did it ever feel like it was too big of a beast to tackle?
So I would say this. Number one, there is absolutely nothing too big that I can't accomplish. And I don't say that with pride. And maybe I do say it in pride, but in a good pride. I have been created in the image and in the likeness of our God in heaven. And I have been filled with the Spirit. And I have been given everything that I need to be successful with these hands and this mind. And we share many of the attributes with our Father in heaven. As He creates, we create. And as He stewards and is responsible for this creation, so are we. And so I don't think there's anything that I can't do. It's also an attribute I learned from my grandfather. Whenever I couldn't do something, I would call my grandfather. And this is what he would say to me. He would say, "What's wrong with you? Don't you know how to do anything?" He said, when we were talking about electrical one time, I was like, "I don't know. I need to put an outlet outside." And he said, "Well, grab a hold of the thing. And if it bites you, don't do that again." So this was my upbringing. What one man can do, another can do. So
hold that flashlight right. You never had a flashlight before?
So anyway, so I was just instilled with this confidence of can-do spirit. I would say this, and also before I also answer this question, if anybody knows me, I don't answer anything direct. I take a long time to get anywhere. So
it's okay though.
So, it wasn't only while I designed this facility, and since we didn't have architectural drawings on it that were up to date, I literally came in here with a measuring tape.
And the big roller thing.
I measured every wall.
And everything.
I measured every wall, every door, every window, every hallway. every closet. I measured absolutely every single bit of this 25,000 square foot space so that I could rebuild it architecturally with a CAD drawer. And so once we got our template built, then we were able to kind of decide what kind of flow do we want. Now, Pastor Bill Balance at the time was overseeing the construction of the new auditorium and kids and youth space. So I was able to utilize a lot of his skill sets. He was essentially my mentor, coach, friend, advocate. So I was able to go to him and ask questions. So he was able to help me work through some of my design ideas because this is his skill set. So I definitely want to give honor to where honor's due. We also had a wonderful group of volunteers who helped us on a regular basis to help us finish this. It was a very grassroots campaign for the church.
Oh yeah.
And so I definitely want to make sure I honor the right people. Like Pastor Bill, definitely color choices go to Pastor Bill for sure.
Every time.
So
he's so wise in like so many different things. Like you could ask him about anything and somehow he knows the answer. And I'm like, it's wild.
But at the same time, I feel like I knew that this was the future. These 5 suites that the church had were the future of this college and this campus. I just knew it. So I had the ability to be able to look at a floor plan. I did about 5 years in real estate, worked with builders. So I think I just had some industry knowledge, but I was able to look at floor plans and see things that were not there. I've been able to envision and build and create. So I think God just gave me that ability and that gift and that skill set. I may not be the person that God uses to run this campus forever until I retire, but I know he brought me here to build this and to start this. And so I'm very thankful and very grateful for the people that I've got to work with and the God that I've got to serve.
Yeah. We did have some great volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were loading up those coolers Saturday mornings. Come on in. We're busting down drywall. Are you happy with it?
I'm very happy with it. I'm very pleased. There's nothing that we didn't do that I wish we had done different. I definitely am very proud at what we've accomplished. It's definitely, I underestimated how difficult the task was going to be because we did so much of the work ourselves. I mean, most of the work ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't think people really understand what that means, but being here till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, working weekends, working 6-day, sometimes 7-day weeks.
Yeah.
It was just very taxing. It was very difficult.
So when you got to, because we hosted a grand opening, invited the whole church, alumni, current students, new and returning. How did grand opening day feel for you? We even had part of the SEU main campus staff came into town to celebrate with us.
Yeah, that's right. We had the vice president of the network here. We had a neighboring campus come and check things out. We're going to have President Engel here in May. So cutting the ribbon was really cool because I got to have a speech. I was really excited about that speech.
You had your lectern.
I did. We pulled it out there, had the university fire, the flame, logo on the lectern. And for me, I think what was important about that day was celebrating with our church and our church family, our history. We were looking back and honoring the past, but looking forward about the future. And here's what I mean by that. Our church, Multiply Church, was founded by Pastor Tom. And this journey for him began at Southeastern Bible College. At the time, it was a Bible college, and he's under a grand piano at an altar service, and God tells him, go to Concord to plant a church. After his passing, a couple years later, we're cutting the ribbon at the very church that he planted that was birthed at Southeastern. And it's come full circle. Now we have a grand piano. One of the staple pieces of our university that I'm most excited that we get to show students on tours is a grand piano. It was manufactured in 1958, the same year our church was founded. And when students come, it's a visual reminder of the power of a grand piano moment. And if this is what God can do 65 years later through Pastor Tom, then what can God do through your yes and your willingness to serve the kingdom and your willingness to go wherever it is he wants you to go and to do whatever it is that he wants you to do? The sky's the limit. It's exciting. That's what we get to do. You and I get the opportunity to partner with students and help them navigate what God is doing in them and through them.
So looking at it kind of full circle from where we started, where we're at, we talk a lot about like defining moments, Pastor Tom in the library, everything like that. Looking back over the past few years, what do you think has been one of, because I know there's a lot, one of the most defining moments here at SEU Carolina? Like some big,
I think
posts.
There are some, one defining moment I would say is the time I sat down with Pastor Doug. And he looked at me. This thing was blowing up. I mean, we were doubling. It was catching fire. Nice pun.
Good pun.
Catching fire. And he said to me, he said, if you had to choose a future, what would it be? Would it be the university or children's ministry? And, that's when it was becoming a reality that, okay, we just created a new job and a new opportunity. And, what's it going to be? Am I going to stay at kids pastor? Or am I going to step into this role and build this university? So I think that was a defining moment. I think another defining moment was deciding to name this SEU Carolina.
Yeah.
Because we're a regional campus and we serve the Carolinas region and beyond. I think another defining moment was Pastor Doug giving us the green light to renovate these 5 suites. This right here is going to be a game changer. It's definitely going to change the course of the landscape in the work of ministry for the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, 100%.
So those are definitely defining moments.
So looking back, because with defining, you also have the, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What is a memorable story that you have from, I would say, your first year as executive director?
Okay.
Give me a story of year one, Kevin, of something that happened while you were like overseeing the team, or like something wild, like student story, just something in your first year that you were like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Because you went from dealing with kids that you were telling them, hey, don't pick your nose, to, hey, file your FAFSA. Like, that's a big jump. It's a big jump.
I would say, well, for one, kids and college students, absolutely no different. College students are...
I'd agree.
College students are absolutely just bigger. They're just bigger.
They are.
The problems, the mindsets, the habits is all very similar. And I think that one memory comes to mind. We had partnered with Century Afton and to provide housing for our students, because we were starting to bring in students from all over
the apartment complex.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they had a kitchen fire out there.
Oh my gosh, I never heard this story.
And so one of our students was on the second floor. Our resident advisor, who was also an employee at the time, phenomenal lady, Emma, by the name of Emma Gerard. She was on the first floor. And this student had a fire on the stove and didn't know what to do. So she leaves the apartment, goes downstairs to get Emma, and
leaves the fire,
oh, goes downstairs. What do I do? Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. They literally call me. I'm on the phone with them. And fortunately, Emma was there, and she was mature and a lot more seasoned. And she was able to just immediately, the things I was telling them to do, she was either doing it or had already done it. And it was taken care of. But that's when it was like, okay, now we're preparing these students on how to live and how to cook and how to do life. And so
I've never heard the kitchen fire story.
You know what? There's another great housing story. I would tell this to sites out there. If you ever ask, should we do housing or offer housing? I always tell them no, don't do it. Don't do it. Put it off as long as you can. So we had a student.
It's wild, so fast.
We had a student one time that wanted to cook. And I'm finding out about this at a preview day on a tour with like a bunch of other students. And parents, and future students, and prospective
parents. Oh dear, I was the first one that started preview day, so I'm trying to think back of who in the world this could have been.
So essentially, this student is talking about greatest housing memory, and the sink was full of dishes, and rather than clean the dishes or empty the sink,
I do remember this.
They took the frozen meat, took it to the guest bathroom, and put it in the sink to get it to thaw. And so they're thawing meat in the kitchen, in the bathroom sink. Well, they forgot that they left the water running. So the water is overflowing. It's all on the bathroom floor. They obviously deal with it. They clean it up. They
It's got meat. It's meat water.
They get it dealt with. They get it fixed. But I get a call that the face of the bathroom cabinet has become dislodged from the cabinet. So I'm thinking in my mind, how is this possible? Who does this? How do these things happen? And as I'm repairing it, I'm trying to figure out what in the world possibly could have happened to have caused this nightmare scenario where I'm in there with the nail gun, church ministry 101, Mr. Maintenance Man,
True.
like Bob the Builder. I get it fixed, but then I find out at preview day that they had flooded the bathroom with water, which is why the face of the cabinet had come dislodged.
And there goes your security deposit. Tip number 2, if you are going to do housing, do a security deposit. So we have a lot of traditions that we do here.
Traditions, talk to me.
Traditions. SEU conference, welcome week.
Oh, yes.
We used to, well, actually I'm going to hold off on that one. But if you could bring back one tradition, well, number one, what's your favorite tradition that we have here?
That's hard, Sarah. That's
what's your favorite?
I love the Whitewater Center. I love Welcome Week. I love SEU Conference. These are very transformative experiences. I feel like one of the things that I get the luxury of doing is creating a memorable moment for our students so that when they look back at their college experience, it was a milestone in their life.
Yeah.
Leaving home, you're going to have a lot of first here.
Yeah.
Some of our students are first on a flight, first out of the country. They are seeing Disney for the first time, or they're having those Bethel moments with God where they're just downloading what it is He's called them to do. And these students, they get engaged here. There's just so many things that are associated with their college experience. So what I try to do is make sure that we create an experience that's lasting and is memorable. It's hard to say what a favorite is. I would say SEU Conference is probably one of the most transformative. Welcome Week's probably one of the most fun because you're getting to know people. You're introducing them to the area. You're doing all the fun things in the area. You're going to baseball games. And
we do have some traditions that we used to do.
Okay.
Some things that we used to kind of do every year.
Okay.
We decided to, dump some of them. Some of them we've kept. If you could bring back any old traditions that we used to have, things that we used to do every single year, what would you bring back?
Monday night mystery bus tour. Hands down, for sure.
I was not here for this.
No, Emma, who was our enrollment counselor at the time, was also the bus driver sometimes for Monday Night Mystery Bus Tour. And we would take students somewhere on Monday night, and they wouldn't know where we were going, and they would just load up in the bus, and we would go. And
this sounds like a bad movie.
I loved being the dad in the group who would fake everybody out, because sometimes I would take the bus in a direction, and their brains would start turning. Oh, we're going to go do this. And then I turn into the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they're like, oh my God, we're doing the NASCAR driver experience. Oh, this is great. And then I would take the U-turn out and leave the parking lot. And then they were like, oh.
We're not doing anything fun. We're going to McDonald's.
So,
what's something that you've learned from I think mine that I would bring back. Do you remember when we used to do those Christmas parties in the Dream Center?
Christmas parties, yes, absolutely.
I feel like the last year we did it was the year that we had the best people that just danced so good. I viscerally remember Kayla Forget, boogieing it down, and I was thinking,
Pastor Randy Thompson.
Oh, Randy was getting it, and I just remember thinking, wow, I'd kind of be unstoppable if I could, have as much rhythm as Kayla Forget.
Christmas parties are fun. You've got great music, great friends. You've got hors d'oeuvres. You've got awards. It's great.
And you also had a study hall. Study hall, I think, was my
gosh, I would never bring that back.
I loved it.
Ever in a million years.
I loved it because you would walk in and you'd be like, guess who didn't show up today? And I'm like, call them. Looking at it, what is something you've learned from students during your time here? What are some things that the students over the past 8 years have taught you?
That is a very difficult, that's one of the most difficult questions I've ever been asked.
Really?
As I delay talking. What is something I've learned from students? Resilience.
That's a good one.
Resilience. It's fascinating, the stories, the backgrounds, the trauma that they have endured, and yet they're here. And, they might have complexities or unsureties or doubt and anxieties even at times, but their willingness to get up in the morning and in spite of what has happened in their life, and to be able to have a God moment and to take a step of faith and, to do what God is calling them to do in spite of everything that's happened. Like some of the stories, some of the traumas that these students have endured and experienced defies understanding how they could even get up in the morning. So I would say resilience. It's the future generation is undoubtedly resilient.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
100%. Staying in that same vein, what's the most meaningful feedback you've ever received from a parent, an alumni, or a student in general?
In the ministry,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what we do is we work and we toil and we sow seeds and we plow and we till. And that's hard work. We pluck weeds. And there's times when the seed submits and yields, and then there's times when it resists. And it is, you don't always get to see the harvest or the fruit from what you've planted.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say whenever I look at a student like Marquis Sanders, who has been on the dean's list every semester since he first started, and he's graduating with honors, first student to be inducted into Alpha Chi from SEU Carolina. And it's stories like that are so impactful for me because, he looked at me one day and he said, "Kevin, you've absolutely changed my life."
Mm-hmm.
And I think getting to see the harvest in front of your face and getting to hear feedback like that, and he's just a story, so people like Debbie Garcia, who are able to, she graduated a debt-free first-gen college student. Like, it happened because we started this college.
Yeah.
And the future generations of her family are going to be forever altered because of this moment. And it's just stuff like that's incredible for me because it reminds me why I get to do what I do and how important it is.
So what's your hope for the next generation of students that are coming in, your next 4?
They better roll up their sleeves and get to work.
That's true.
That's
the hopes.
Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
That's valid. That's valid. Speak your truth, Kevin.
and they think they know, and they don't.
They don't.
And and it's hard, and it's going to be hard. But it should be hard. And that's what makes it great. Why at 101? Life is hard, but that's what makes it great. And
it gets a little
nothing great worth doing ever came easy.
It gets better whenever you're placed in a spot where there's so many other students that are going through the exact same thing. And they begin, you can start to see like the cogs turning when you see them, like they're all together with their roommates and they're all like trying to figure out what in the world is this math problem. And like, this is hard, but we know that if we do this together, we can make it through.
And I think another thing I would say to the next generation is, put your phone down and be where you're at, be present where you're at, like experience where you're at, and enjoy what it means to be human. And I would say, yeah.
That's good. So we've just completed 8 years. Where do you see the school in the next 8 years?
Ooh, where do I see the school in the next 8 years? That's a great question. I definitely see, now that we have completed our campus renovation, and it's the largest brick and mortar space in the network that Southeastern has, I definitely see this place filling up. I definitely do. I think the sky's the limit. And I think I see future churches being planted. I see future missionaries being birthed out of this movement. I see families being raised with a Christ-centered biblical worldview because of their understanding of a family unit from this college. I definitely see businesses being started. There's a lot. I see teachers in a classroom that got an education from here. So those are things that I see.
If budget and time weren't an issue, what's one dream project that you would launch right now? Get it all done in one swoop.
I would say dorms. I think that, so one of the things that we provide is residential housing accommodations. It's an elevated, luxurious provision that Multiply Church makes readily available to our students. You have limited housing, limited capacity. You have fully furnished units with housewares and kitchenwares. It's definitely not like your traditional dorm experience.
Yeah, 100%.
But the reason I would say dorms is because if we're going to grow and we're going to have more students come on campus from all over, there has to be a place for them. And right now we're maxed out. We can't grow as it pertains to taking in outside students. It's really first come, first serve. You better get your application in early before July 15th.
July 1st, preferred. So to wrap it up, what legacy do you personally hope to leave behind as executive director? The day when you retire, or the good Lord calls us home, calls us up in the whirlwind, what legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I definitely hope that what we have done here makes a difference.
That's good.
For the kingdom of God. It's hard to fathom what we've been given the opportunity. The future of the church rests in our hands. And thankfully, it is God who builds the
Amen.
building.
Amen.
So yeah, that it would have been worth it. You know, I want this thing to outlive me and outlast me. I mean, I know that I'm here and I'm at the helm. I'm the captain of the ship, and we're making this thing happen. But I wanted to outlast me and outlive me. That is what I hope would be the legacy.
Love it. All right, well, to put you back in the hot spot one more time to wrap things up for today, you love doing a fun rapid fire round. And whenever we went to go record, you were like, Sarah, no, we're not doing that. And I was like, what do you mean? You sit here and be like, oh, you only got 20. Oh, you only got 15. So you're going to be rapid fire rounded today.
Okay. So 60 questions, 60 seconds.
60 questions, if you can make it through all 60. In 60 seconds.
I don't think it's possible. It depends on how fast you ask questions.
It depends if I go from bottom to top, because no one's hit 60.
Listen, don't you dare start from the bottom.
You're lucky because
that's playing dirty.
I'm not going to be able to do math in my head that fast. I'm pretty good, but not that fast.
You are great at math. You're really good at math.
I try to be.
But you're still starting from number one.
I still start from number one, so I don't have to count later. So are you ready?
Oh my goodness.
So you'll have 60 seconds to get through as many as you can. I might deduct 5 in good faith just because you already know half these questions. So, on your mark, you ready? Take a deep breath.
Am I ready?
Take a deep breath. You'll be fine. You've done harder stuff. You built an entire 25,000 foot square campus. You can make it. You can make it number one.
This is very true.
You can do this.
Have you done 60 questions in 60 seconds?
I did.
Okay. How far did you get?
I don't know. We'll have to see at the end. We'll see. Who knows? Okay. All right. On your mark. Get set. Go. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Favorite holiday?
4th of July.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Go to karaoke song?
Made in America.
Your life song?
Friends.
Biggest pet peeve?
Don't pick your nose.
Famous person for dinner?
George Bush.
Last thing you Googled?
Deep water whales.
What makes your day better?
My wife.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Best day of the week?
Friday.
One thing you can't live without?
My wife.
Nickname?
Speedy.
Favorite book of the Bible?
Favorite book of the Bible? Genesis.
Yes. Favorite Bible character?
Jesus.
Favorite verse?
Philippians 4:13.
Favorite pizza topping?
Pepperoni.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Do pineapples belong on pizza? Breakfast for dinner?
Breakfast.
Favorite fast food?
Cookout.
Spicy or mild?
Spicy.
All right.
Oh, man, I feel like I really didn't hit my stride.
Speedy is your nickname? Who called you Speedy?
So, one thing you may not know about me is I used to be a baseball legend. I was really good.
What position did you play?
I started in outfield. There's nothing that you could hit in the outfield that I couldn't catch. And then I became shortstop, and then third baseman, and then pitcher. And
I'm not surprised that you ended up on pitcher because you do have you got a pretty solid wingspan.
Are you calling me fat?
No. Wingspan is like the lengths of from fingertip to fingertip.
So I'm wide. I have wide girth. Is that what you're telling me? I have wide girth, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
I said you got long arms. Well, you did beat me by a few. You made it to 27.
Not bad.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are in front of you, though.
Now, I think it's worth noting that they're only ahead of me because they played twice.
And also, you've read these questions to everyone already, so you basically have it memorized.
Which I guess.
Favorite video game?
Favorite video game?
Yeah.
Modern Warfare, Call of Duty.
Oh my
for
god!
sure,
Oh my
hands
god!
down.
Oh my god! That's scary.
Play with my kids every weekend.
Most adventurous. Okay. Most adventurous thing you've ever done.
Most adventurous thing I've ever done. I would say, most adventurous. Cliff diving. Cliff diving was intense.
You cliff dived?
Yeah, in Hawaii.
Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty intense because it's. Yeah.
If you won the lottery today, what's the first thing you buy? That pump for your mountain. Well, Kevin, it's been an honor. We're really proud of you here at SEU Carolina. You're a great person to work for. You make great strides and huge impacts on all the students that come your way. We couldn't do what we do without you.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it.
So I hope that you come on next week. Hop on the podcast.
We should once a week or like once a month, we should do flip the script where you're the host of the show and I'm the guest.
And you don't give me a topic and I just get to go rogue.
Exactly. I would be hands down all for it.
I would love for us to review the Coachella was this past weekend, week 1. Then you have week 2 next week. It's the same thing, just different people.
Love some Coachella.
I would
Bernie Sanders was at Coachella?
No.
Who knew? Why would he be at Coachella?
I would love to go, like, have you rate the Coachella outfits.
Oh,
like I would love to see you like react to like James Charles
as opposed to
like,
rating Burning Man outfits.
Burning Man, the outfits aren't as good as Coachella, unfortunately.
Really, whatever. It all looks like Waterworld with Kevin
Costner.
But
Coachella gets like wild. Like the outfits are
very
good.
true. See, look, it's a whole nother podcast show.
See you
already.
next week. All right. Well, thanks for being on today with us, Kevin. We appreciate you.